In 2000, we changed the mission to community impact because we knew that we couldn't just be a fundraising federation any longer. So moving to community impact wasn't jargon, and it wasn't a slogan. It was kind of going back to our roots and being clear that we exist to change people's lives. And the way you do that is you mobilize folks into collective action. Once we changed the mission to impact and local United Way started moving in that direction, more and more local leaders, local CEOs and volunteers started asking themselves, well, what do we really stand for, though? We work to advance the common good. And what we believe is that in order to do that, you've got to create opportunities that allow people to have a better life. And the way we think you define better life, a good life, is in the areas of education, income, and health. You have to have a decent education, graduate in order to be able to sustain yourself and a family. You've got to be financially stable in order to be able to make decisions to actually take advantage of the choices you have. And if you don't have your health, you don't have anything.
Here in southeastern Pennsylvania, we've been about advancing the common good since United Way was created in 1921. But what we're trying to do now is to do it more effectively.
Historically, United Way used to be a goal-oriented organization, but focused on a single goal. How much money are we going to raise every year? The strategic alignment is an alignment that continues to keep the organization goal-oriented, but now focuses the goals on impacting our communities.
I definitely love the education, income, and health focus areas because, to me, they touch every single person. I think they speak to every worry, every concern, and every aspiration of all Americans, not just poor Americans, not urban Americans, not rural Americans, but all of us.
The problems that our clients come to us with, the problems that occur in our neighborhoods are not simple problems, and they cannot be solved with a simple solution. The families come to us with deficits in education, health, income, their personal lives. In fact, their spirits need help and bolstering.
Not every community in the United States is necessarily going to have a focused agenda that aligns exactly, and that's okay. In our community, for example, we definitely prioritize education. We prioritize financial stability or the income area, and health is integrated into everything we do. Giving continues to be really important to United Way, and I'm an advocate in the system that we continue to talk about money because it takes money to change communities. But giving is no longer sufficient. Giving is an act that, especially in relation to the United Way campaign, you can do it once, maybe you can give more than once, but it isn't a lifestyle.
The relationships between the United Way and its donors was historically somewhat episodic. If you think about it, by that I mean once a year an individual would get involved in a campaign at his or her employer from the United Way. But it was rather impersonal and it was limited in contact. We recognize the need to change that at this point.
When we talk about giving, volunteering, and advocating, then we're talking about living your life 365 days a year in a different way, in a way that frankly connects you with others on a constant basis.
I'm a child of the 60s, and I was right out there, and when we talked about, talking to government, we called it changing the system. Today we call it advocacy, but I think it's still the same. It's about advancing the public good and joining together and really getting out there and letting your voices be heard, understanding what the issues are, and talking to those who really make the decisions every day. We want to be careful, but I do believe that there are times that we have to be, loud and shout.
But advocacy isn't simply about public policy. It's mobilizing people into collective action. Sometimes it's policy, sometimes it's awareness building, sometimes it's advocating on behalf of children in an education system that don't have a voice for themselves.
One of the things I enjoy doing back here in the shop is getting the feel of the wood. You can smell the sawdust, the cuttings and everything, and it just seemed an absolutely natural fit to teach that to the kids. And that's why I volunteer as a woodworking teacher. Good, that's it. These kids, probably 60% of them will never graduate high school. And if they don't, what are they going to do? If I can just get through to one child there, it's been worth it. And it'll be worth it every year I go back. My name is Ron. I live united because I refuse to give up on these kids.
We've got to go beyond just the annual Day of Caring. Volunteerism and helping people volunteer as a regular part of their life is going to have to become a more important part of this strategy. If folks want to volunteer for us as a part of this, we better be ready for them.
Many of our donors are baby boomers who will be leaving the workplace shortly. By inviting them to not only be contributors, but volunteers and advocates for our priorities, we think we can build a strong relationship that stands the test of time.
I would say to anyone who's a part of the United Way family, this is an area that you clearly want to get involved in. The payoff is tremendous. Imagine being able to see every person in your state have early childhood education. Imagine seeing the poverty rates go down in your state, where everyone has the resources and the dollars that they need in order to take care of their families. Imagine health care and affordable health care for everyone.
If I were not part of the United Way system and I saw United Way come out with a campaign like Live United, I would want to become part of that system. It's something that speaks to me on a personal level. It's a calling to the community to live differently, to behave differently, and to act differently.